In this video, we're going to be looking at the tests for a function or non-functions. We use what we call a vertical line test to determine if a graph is a function or not. Okay, the vertical line will tell us if the function is, if a graph is a function or not. You'll see now how we're going to use the vertical line test. Without any further wasting of time, let's get straight to the point. I'm going to start with the first one. So I want you to observe this side as I move the ruler. Actually, no, let's do this. I want you to observe how many times the graph cuts with the ruler as I move the ruler, right? So here it cuts only once. It keeps on cutting once if you're observing. Keeps on cutting once. It keeps on cutting once until forever. Do you see it? So we're going to say this graph is a function. This graph is a function because it passes the vertical line test. I'll just use the abbreviation to save time, vertical line test. But obviously in the exam, you're going to write it in full. So they'll say, is this a function or not? You use the vertical, you take your ruler, you check if there's where it cuts it twice. If it cuts it more than once, you know that it's not going to be a function. It has to cut it only once for it to be a function. So in this case, our parabola is going to be a function. And then if they say, give a reason for your answer, your reason, you just say it passes the vertical line test. Perfect. Now let's check E. Okay, so we're going to do the same. Okay, you can see that, okay, E cuts the ruler once there. Keep on going, cuts once. But when we get here, right, it cuts here and there. Do you see it? And there. Sharp. It seems as if it's cutting more than once, but it cuts once. Why? Because this point here is shaded and that one is not shaded. Do you see it? Which means we only have one point here, which is this one. This is not a point. It's not included, remember, right? If you remember doing the number lines on inequalities. So this is still cutting only once here. But if they were all shaded, we were going to immediately conclude that this is not a function because both the points will be existing. So the graph will be cutting the vertical line twice. But in this case, it's cutting only once. Okay, so we keep on going. It cuts once, it cuts once. But when we get here, it looks as if it cuts twice there and there, but it only cutting here because there is not shaded inside. So it means that point does not exist. So we can conclude, therefore, that this is also a function because the vertical line test, it passes it. So we're going to say, therefore, this is a function. And then we say, because it passes the vertical line test. And ladies and gents, in the test, don't use the abbreviation. Here, I'm just trying to save time. Okay, perfect. Now let's discuss A and E again. We're going to talk about the relation now of A and B. The relation of A, and then the relation of B. Of E, relation. Oh, sorry, let me remove the ruler. So relation. Right. So ladies and gents, if this is a function, I already know that I'm going to have something to 1. It's always something to 1. All functions are always going to be to 1. So also this one here, the relation will be something to 1. To 1. Perfect. So now you take your ruler, you do horizontal line. So let's do horizontal line quickly. Let's check here. So we do what we call the horizontal line test. Sharp. Let's start with the parabola. If you check on the parabola, it cuts here, and it also, the horizontal line also cuts there. So it cuts on 2 points, right? So if it's cutting on 2 points, you are going to say it's a many to 1. As long as it's cutting, the horizontal line cuts more than twice, you say many here. So many x values to only 1 y value. So it's many to 1. For example, here, let's say the y value was -1. You're going to have the x value there and the x value there. So this is a many-to-one function, right? Now let's come check this one. We can see that this line, this horizontal line also cuts it cuts a lot, you see? There. So this is also a many-to-one function. So we're going to say many-to-one. But remember, a function is always to one. Okay. Now let's go to the second part of this activity. Okay, sharp. Let's move our thing. So now we're going to do B and F. Ne? Let's do B and F. Let's see here. But you can see that B is basically the same as E. Do you see it? Because the vertical line is going to cross once, and the vertical line is going to cut once. So it is a function. It is passing the vertical line test. So here you're going to say it's a function. Your reason is because it passes the vertical line test. Ne? And then let's check relation of this one. Relation, I'm sure I want you to pause the video and write your solution. So this one is going to be, remember I said it's going to be 2, 1. So, but if I check here, horizontal line is going to be cutting through many x values here. So we're going to say many x values to 1 y value. Right. Perfect. Now let's get to here. This guy here, let's test him. You always start with a vertical line test to see if it's a function or not. Ne? Okay, this is my vertical line. Vertical line is cutting there, and it's also cutting there. And all these points exist because they are all darkened. Do you see them? But if there was maybe a circle there that is white inside, I would say it is still cutting once there. You see, but it's cutting twice in this case. So the vertical line fails here. Ne? So a circle is not a function. So you're going to say not a function. Why? Because it fails vertical line test. Ne? Remember, the vertical line test. The vertical line must touch only once for it to be a function. Ne? So the relation for a non-function, is going to be to main. Ne? You know that you always end in to main. So, but you know that we cannot have many y values plotted to a certain x. So one unique y value can be plotted to many x values, but not vice versa. So immediately you have too many, then it's no longer a function. So now let's check. You can see that if I were to draw a horizontal line here, it's going to cut there and there. So it's many to many. Ne? It's cutting more than once. So it's going to be many to many, this one. So the relation is many to many. Remember, a function is always to one. A non-function is always to many. Ne? And then you do the horizontal line test to get what the other part will be. Okay, perfect. Now let's do this guy here. Let us do this, guys. Okay. I need you to pause the video and answer these 4 questions and look at our solutions. Ne? Perfect. Now that you have answered, let's proceed. So this one is going to be a function because the vertical line is what? It's passed. So the vertical line test is passed. Ne? It passes the vertical line test. So it's a function. Therefore, it's a function. Right. And then let's check the relation. If they say state the relation of this graph. The relation, remember, because it's a function, I know that is going to be to 1. Right. Now let's check. Because this graph, they showed me that it keeps on going there and there like that. I can see that if I were to draw a horizontal line, I'm going to touch there, there, and there. So it's going to be many to 1. Do you see it? It's a many to 1 function. Ne? Sharp. Then let's check this one. You can see that here, the vertical line will pass if it only touches once. So it passes the vertical line test. And therefore, it is a function. Remember, ladies and gents, not to use VLT. It's you write it in full. You say vertical line test. Now here we're just saving time. Perfect. And then let's now do the relation of this one. The relation of this one is going to be to 1. Why? Because it's a function, right? We just need to get this part. Let's check out the horizontal line crosses there. It touches there and there. So it's many to 1 as well, right? This is a many to 1 function. Perfect. This one, if you were to put a ruler here, right, you are going to have many points here, basically, infinite amount of points on top of this line. So the vertical line fails, you see it, because if I were to put a ruler here, it cuts at many points here. So it fails the vertical line test, therefore, not a what? Not a function. So a vertical line itself is not a function. Remember, the lines that passes through the x-axis, we call them the vertical lines. The reason we use them to do the vertical line test is because they themselves are not functions. So anything that crosses them twice is not going to be a function as well. Okay, now let's do the relation. Okay, so remember, since it's not a function, we know that it's going to be to many. We just need to get this side. So let's see, horizontal cuts once, cuts once, cuts once, cuts once. It keeps on cutting once forever, you see? Here only, here only, here only. So this one is 1 to many. This is 1 to many, so it's not a function, right? Then let's try the last one. If I were to draw a vertical line, it cuts there and there, so the vertical line test fails. So the vertical line test fails. Perfect. And then, therefore, not a function. Not a function. Therefore, let's do the relation. Therefore, the relation of this one, relation is going to be, I know that if it's not a function, remember, we said it's going to end with to many, right? And then, if I were to draw horizontal lines here, they are going to keep on cutting once. This one will just cut there. This one will just cut there. This one just cuts here and so on, you see? So it's 1 to many. Perfect. And you can see that this one is basically the reverse of that one. We just took this graph and did this. That's why even this switches. You see, now you have 1 to many. So it's the inverse. When we're going to be talking about inverse function soon. So this graph is the inverse of this parabola here. Okay. And that's it about testing if a graph is a function or not, and also determining the relationship. Those are the 2 things I wanted you to grasp from this video. From here, please keep on watching, ladies and gents. More fire content is loading. Tango, please don't also forget to share with family and friends and advise them to do so too. Anyone who needs help with mathematics, anyone who just want to learn maths for fun, this channel is welcoming everyone. Thank you very much. A luta continua. Tango.